What is up, VV family? I am here with two of the big guns in the space. I got the real Randy Chavez, pop, pop, pop,
Pew,
pop,
pew, pew,
pop.
pew, pew.
And I've got VeVeMagic in the house. Yes, so it's going to be an awesome conversation today. We wanted to keep it casual with everybody, talk about some of the current trends in the market, talk about Veve as a whole and a lot of the stuff that's happening outside of their control as well, and just have a nice chill conversation. So thanks so much for being here. This is I was just on your channel on Friday, so this is nice to have both of you here now.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a good continuation. It's like a good crossover where we weren't on screen all at the same time. It was me and you, and then me and her, and then now
Yeah.
we're all together. Fusion hard.
Did we break the record for the longest stream on your channel or no?
No, that one went to. It had started with Foster Hill, Cavell Anderson, and Mr. Pags, and Andre Jick came on, and then Wendy came on, and then this guy named Power of Ideas came on. That was like 7.5 hours. Yeah, you went for 6.5, which was that was a long one as well. But that one, like the last few hours, it was just me, so my throat was like destroyed. Like it wasn't cool.
I don't know how you do it, man. Respect. It's legendary.
I agree. It's like funny, because I was like looking at the timestamp and I was like, all right, Randy, well, we've done 3 hours here. And I felt like I had like a full bottle of wine with me. I was like, I don't know what else there's to talk about, but Randy just keeps coming up with ideas after ideas. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I got a million ideas. There's no shortage of those.
Yeah,
It's
no
great.
kidding.
That's what we need.
And I'm loving the Star Wars stuff in the background there, VeVeMagic. That's legit. You got to tell us a little bit about what you got there.
Well, it's an epic month, so I gotta represent. So this is all stuff that I've got at the parks. It's a helmet I got for my son. The little BB-8 is actually a drink cup, like it has a straw that goes in it, and it's a little sippy cup. And then the AT is a popcorn bucket, which I collect.
Yeah.
And so like the top here lifts up. And I just got that on Saturday, and I was in line. It was a long line, and I was all worried I wasn't going to get one. And I went and saw, because I could only count like, I don't know, 12 of them. And then I saw they had a whole bin full more, but they're like, oh, we're definitely selling out today. And I was like, I'm in line now. Are my chances good? And they're like, yeah, you're okay. So I got two because I have to have it. It's like probably one of my favorites, I think. It's pretty legit.
So
Nice.
cool. Yeah, it looks super real too, right?
I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm so pumped about all the stuff we've been seeing with Star Wars, and I think there's more to come. And I just, it's a really fun time on the app, right? Like you guys, you got an ultra rare, right? And then did you get anything, Randy?
I got a rare on the Strange Tales. The Star Wars, I just got a common, which is fine.
Yeah. I mean, they've been doing really well, right?
Yeah.
Did you both get the secret rare? Did you guys purchase it in the aftermarket or you
landed
got it on the drop? Oh my God. I'm so pissed off.
That's
My
amazing.
first secret rare comic on a drop. And that's like, for one, like that'd be the one I'd want, I was so excited.
Yeah, of course. Good for you.
Are we getting Darth Vader or what? That's like the question in my mind. I just keep thinking like, are they going to release it? I know we've been seeing David, you with all those little skull emojis. Like what's going on, guys?
I actually had
new
a
chili
dream
pepper.
about that. This pepper?
It's the new chili pepper. Alex is known for the chili peppers. Now David's going to forever be known for the skulls.
The skulls. I think that might mean something. So I had a dream about Vader last night, not about him, but it was like a doll, and it looked like a stuffed doll, and like his mask, like his helmet was off, so you didn't even get the helmet. It was really weird. And people were like disappointed, and so was I. I was like, man, this is like a letdown. And then I woke up, I was like, oh, thank God. But do you think that skull? What do you think the skull means?
I know some people are theorizing like it could be like the helmet itself, and not necessarily like his whole. Like I could see them doing the helmet, but then like having the voice attached. And he's also been like going and liking people's stuff, commenting here and there, and it's like, is that confirmation or you just being feisty? Because I said, I'd like to pre-order my Darth Vader with his breathing and have it be like first voice on the platform. And he liked it. And I'm like, so you're saying there's a chance.
I think that, spoilers if you haven't seen it in like the last 40 years, in Return of the Jedi, where he's lifting up Palpatine and, you know, the Force lightning's going everywhere, you kind of see the like the skeletons of both of them. So I think that'd be really cool if you're getting Vader like that's being shocked and it's like going through his system. I don't know how. I guess that'd be like the best animation that they've had so far. So I don't know if they would have that, but it's Vader. You can't cheap out on him. That'd be big.
Yeah.
That's the truth. Like, if you're gonna do it, you got to do it well. Yeah, I agree.
Do you see the person that did the all gold Vader with like a lightsaber? I was like, I don't even know if I'd want it all gold. Like, I would want it like authentic, like real Darth Vader, you know, and it would be crazy if it had an animation. Like, I would love that, right? But have you guys seen the whole blockchain argument that's been like developing? People are saying, "Oh, Star Wars came out first to the blockchain in any medium." I did a video on that to like help stir the shit. But like, what's your guys' take on that? Like, a lot of people like the collectibles still if they came out FA first. So,
you want to go first?
So the argument is that we have Darth first in comic form. Is that what the argument is?
Exactly.
I mean, that can be said for some of the other characters we have, right? They came out. Some of them came out first in the comics. I don't think. I mean, yeah, I see the argument and how it can be made, but ultimately, I don't think it's going to matter because the collectible will hopefully be so sick that who cares? You know, like. Yeah. You're just going to want it because of how it looks. And a collectible and a comic are different things. So they appeal to different people for, you know, a multitude of reasons. So, I mean, I can see the argument being made, but I don't think it's going to affect pricing. I don't think it's going to affect the popularity. Like, I think it's going to do well regardless. Same with a lot of the stuff that we'll get, you know, hopefully in the future from Star Wars and characters.
Right. Yeah. I think you have probably a small amount of people that are like, well, these are the first on the blockchain. Okay, well then say goodbye to all the X-Men because all the X-Men, we've had so many comics with that. Exactly. Like, are you not gonna buy, you know, the first Wolverine or like the first Hulk because the first appearance on the blockchain was in a comic? No, of course you're gonna buy. Of course you're gonna buy those. I think the amount of people that are there, they're I guess making us think about it, and I guess they're a loud minority, but I think they're a very small part.
That makes good sense. I mean, I feel like this argument's making me feel better because I was so confused the other day. I was like, okay, what the heck's going on? Like, are all these principles out the door? Because as much as like, you know, we're in this space and we know what we're talking about, it's still being pioneered, right? Like, to a certain extent, it's not like, you know, as doesn't have the same time history as like the comic books have and all the different sales data. So this is all kind of new in a sense as well, right? And I wanted to pick your brains too, because there's been this huge gem exploit thing that happened a few months back. And now we're starting to see that some people have got their accounts back, but they're still restricted or something like that. So what's your guys' take on that?
You go first, Randy.
Okay. There's an email floating around with Veve telling, hey, Veve user, you have now your account that was banned because, you know, you had that gem fiasco. It is now unbanned, but in that same email they say you do not have access to like sell your collectibles. You can buy off the store, but you can't sell. And it's like, oh my god. So two different feelings about that. If that was me, if I again, someone that did nothing wrong, they just happened to sell something and they got dirty gems and they use those gems, whatever. I would be a little salty about that. I get it, things happen. You know, Veve corrected that mistake, but if you go and you say that, hey, I'm gonna give you your account back, but all of your stuff you can't, you know, sell on the market. Okay, well, what am I gonna do with those gems? I'm just gonna cash out. I'll just be like, all right, I'm just gonna go for crypto. I'm so done with this because, you know, not your NFTs, not your keys. So that really sucks for them. And a lot of those guys are whales, and I'd hate to lose their business. But that being said, I think that, you know, if you have hundreds of thousands or millions of gems, you're probably a really smart person, and you probably know that, okay, there's a business side, there's emotional side, and if you let your emotions take control, you know, I don't think this ban would be forever. I think this ban would be for until they could, I guess, further decide who's actually really acting bad and who is just caught up in whatever. And they'll probably say like, okay, you know, these things are like 80% off, like 90% off. Some are a lot of going below retail. They can probably see the future and say, okay, well, I'm gonna sweep the floors. And currently that's like staking collectibles. They're going to buy things. They're not going to be able to sell. All of those things that they have are going to be locked up for however long. So kind of two sides to that I'm seeing.
Yeah, I get like the frustration for sure. I try to find the positive and stuff, right? And like I just see Veve being so inundated with so many different things. It's like every day there's a new, something happens where somebody's doing something shady. It's like they're always after something, right? Whether it's bots, stolen gems, like it's almost impossible to keep up with. Never mind the fact of where they're trying to take the platform on a daily basis, add in trying to listen to the community. It's such a huge problem. And I think they're trying to do the best they can. I think it's taking a little longer than it should. But I would just tell those people, like, just try to have patience. I mean, I see the fact that they can at least participate in drops as a good sign. I know probably a percentage of those people are flippers. And so they're like, why am I going to participate in a drop if I can't then sell it? But, there are the whales that were affected as well. And I mean, I don't know a lot of whales that sell. I mean, they're called whales for a reason. They have thousands and thousands of collectibles. So at least those people can get in and start, getting stuff on the drop again. And because it sucks that they missed out on Star Wars, like, or, whatever else that we've had that's been huge. So I see the silver lining there. And I would just tell them, keep on the communication, because they do listen. And, maybe we can all come up with an idea as a community to help solve the problem in a way that is fair to both parties and makes sense. And, whether it's, freezing the gems, but letting people have their accounts back, or starting a new account, but they can have, the same, I don't know the whole KYC stuff, but like you can have two accounts and you can, you will get those at some point once it's resolved. But, I feel like there needs to be some headway made to give these people their confidence back. Cause I get it. I would be upset too. I totally get it.
Right. These are all great points, guys. And I think the big thing too is like, I know Veve was aware in some capacity that people were buying gems like off, the market. And it's really difficult to say, oh, you were okay for buying, let's just say 0.45, but once it was 0.35, well, then at that point you should have known that there was some kind of, something that was fishy. When, back in the day, if you would have said 0.45 when people were buying for 0.9, that would have been fishy, right? So I feel like you both had a really good point too. And like, now we have, for instance, bots that aren't able to sell their collectibles because their accounts got restricted. Now you have potentially whales. Then you're going to have burns in the future. So like, could there really only be like, if there's like 1,000 edition NFT, maybe there's literally only like 400 to 500 that are in circulation or actually can be sold, right? Like that's another interesting component to this too. Like, a lot of people are thinking, oh, it's this many editions, but it actually could be 33% of that. So what do you guys think about that? Do you think that's possible?
What's crazy is the market right now, for it being so down. You still go into some of the older collectibles we have, and they're way low price, but you still look at how many are on the market and it's not a lot. I mean, for some of those old collectibles, I'm like, I was looking at Harley Quinn today. I forget which one it is. It's one where she's kind of like has her legs up, and I don't have any of the black, white, and red ones. And I was like, ooh, it's like $115. What a great entry, and there was like, I can't remember, there was like 100 and something on the market. So that's the interesting thing too, is it's still really low availability, even though the prices are crap. So it's like just amazing opportunity. But yeah, is that because so many of them are locked up? Is that because they are now in such strong hands and you just have these low prices because of the people just wanting to cash out or wanting to not be involved or just whatever? So I think there's a lot of great opportunity there for sure.
Yeah, I saw yesterday, just looking at some of the first season, Golden Moments and the first season, I'm so bullish on. Particularly Adventure Time. That nice. Like Ice King has like, I think if you have less than like $5,000 or less than $6,000, you can buy up everything. Like you buy up every single Ice King they have, because there's only 20 something out there. And if you go to on YouTube and you find, like Adventure Time funny moments, there's like millions of views on those videos. Like there's a lot of Adventure Time fans. and they just haven't made their way to Veve yet. How many of them will get on and buy? Probably a decent percentage. You know, it's like 5% of, let's say, 1 million. Okay, it's 50,000. And just there's not 50,000 collectibles at Adventure Time. So,
Right. Right. Once we have that mass marketing, it's really gonna hopefully blow a lid off it, right? But right now, I mean, these deals are insane. Like I was looking at Superman the other day just for fun because I already have my Superman, but I was just like, oh, let me just see what it's at. And I was like shocked to see it was like 1.8K or something like that.
Oh, are you
Right?
serious?
Yeah. And
Oh, I thought it
R2,
was still around 3.
I think it was literally down to 1.8. I'm not even joking. Let me like maybe I'm wrong.
Dude,
But
that's like where I sold it at. I could get it back.
yeah. And R2 was like 2.4K at one point.
yeah.
So it was like wild to see. But the problem is because unless you were timing the cycle, all of your gems went down to the ground with you. So like it's all relative, right? It's not like I have all these gems that I used to have. So it's like, you know, buying that is still now a significant purchase. And that reminded me of back in the day when things were like $500, it was like you had to really think about it. But if you went on that November to January cycle, you know, $500 was like a joke, right? For anybody that was like stacking. So it's just insane how much, you know, things have deflated. But I keep saying to people, like, you can't just blame it on Veve. Like, there's literally so much things happening in the world right now. There's recessions, there's a war, there's like, you know, gas price increases, there's a lot of fear out there. So what do you guys think about that? Because a lot of people are like, oh, it's Veve, Veve, Veve. And sure, don't be wrong, MTL, MCP, a lot of this stuff is hashtag soon. But I think there's just like a wider net of things affecting the current trajectory that we're on.
Yeah, you have people that guy that wrote that article for Forbes with that really misleading title, with the clickbait title, and
Oh
like
yeah.
Vivi's down 99%, and was just talking about, you know, app installs. You know, if you look at, you know, the amount of gems bought each week and the amount of burn, we still have a billion OMI burn each week, and there's like 3 million gems that were bought like from the app over the last 7 days as well. So this isn't slowing down. That article also said that you have the amount of NFTs sales on average of like 19,000 a day, and I was like, what? Like it's wrong, because we that might be for the general market outside of Veve, but we do that on one drop. We have 30,000 comics that just go like that in a second. So I think there's a lot of misinformation out there, and I feel bad for people that just look at headlines and don't try to read in between the lines. And I just checked, Superman's down. There's less than 2% of Superman available from its, you know, like 8,888, because there's only 123, 143, and it's at 1387. Hasn't been that low in quite a long time, and people were paying like 7K at this, you know, for one point. So, you know, like people are already paying that. It's not as speculative as it used to be. People are like, oh well, I think I can get here one day, because it's already been that, like, this year.
Wow.
I'm like going, I'm like, I don't believe it. I have to look.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I might go get mine back.
That's crazy.
I mean, I sold them because I got them on drop, and I, you know, when I saw him, because he stayed low for so long. And so when he did that run up, I'm like, this may be it for a while. And when I sold them at 1.6, and it did stay around that for a while, and then he ran up to what, like, was he close to 7K in the run up?
Yeah,
I don't remember.
9.
Yeah, I remember, like, well, guess I'll never get that back. And so it's like, wow, I have an opportunity now to get it back.
Right.
But you know what's funny is I go and listen to a lot of spaces every day, and so many of them are market talk, and these guys will be in there, and girls will be in there real time buying on the market, and it's every single day.
Oh my God.
So, like, you know, there's plenty of people that are seeing so much potential and opportunity right now, and jumping on it, which I think's really awesome, and I think that's a good sign too.
Yeah, I mean, I think the cheapest set you can get right now is the baseball stamp for like 30 something dollars, and it's a full set.
That's cool.
I think the next cheapest one is like 50 something for both of those Ukrainian flowers. They're both like rare, ultra, or whatever, and again, full set for like $50. It's nice.
Nice. My camera's giving me issues. It's like not even looking at me anymore. It's looking at the back cowl in the background. It's probably better looking. So that makes more sense.
It wants to
There we
focus in
go.
on that, huh?
Yeah, I'm like, hey, I'm right here. No, it's like it's funny, you know, you pay for more equipment and then it just ends up like screwing you over in the end anyways. But yeah, like it's crazy. These prices, like, so what I'm doing, I don't know if anybody else is doing this, but I'm like going back to the all-time highs and then writing down the peak and then seeing what percentage reduction it happened. And then I'm like knowing now for the next boom, like what's likely to like go back to it. Maybe it won't go back to an all-time high, but like, you know, likely go back up significantly. So because I'm just trying to think like, you know, in a smart way, like how, you know, what do I learn from this? And like, were the grails that I thought so far really grails, or were they all inflated? Because it seems like Walt and, you know, Spider-Man and all that stuff was like almost like an 80% reduction, and it wasn't that much different than just like your typical collectible. So I'm trying to understand now, like this market better. Like if everything would just, it almost seemed like everything went up together and came down together.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, agreed. I also think there's going to be, I mean, I've thought about this before, like what would you do for gems right now? What would you do for extra money for Omi? I've I'd sell Dashi. Like if like how if these prices go down any lower, I mean, I've already talked to people that have gotten second jobs just so they can buy more NFTs or they could buy more Omi. Like so it's already affecting people. Like so the FOMO is still there, but that's because prices are really low. What are you guys gonna do? Like, is there anything that you would do extra if prices go any lower? Like, hey, I can now justify spending more because this, or are you guys like, nah, that's it, I'm done?
No, so I'm definitely on the same page, and I make extra money with sort of like side jobs that I have, and so when I get the opportunity to delve in deeper and make more money there, I'm like absolutely jumping on it. Like this past 2 weeks, a resale item that I do had a big sale, and so I had to fork out a lot of money on my credit card. But it's the potential to, you know, as I start, and I've been like in a mad, you know, rush listing everything, because the sooner I list, the sooner I sell, the sooner I sell, the sooner I get that money in my bank account. And, you know, I'm, you know, still waiting on a tax refund, and I know where that money's going. Like that's going into Omi. So, you know, I definitely have my mindset on some certain things. I also, you know, I'm hoping and praying if/when we get this Darth that I get, you know, one or, you know, two on the drop. But I have some gems just in case I don't. But like, you know, if I get them, I have all these things in my mind of where those gems are going to automatically be going that I didn't have to spend. So, you know, I'm hoping that happens so that I can just, because that I think is going to be a determining factor too. If like this whole community is able to land a Darth drop and get what they want, like what has been happening, I think that could show us a little bit of a market run up, because there's people that are doing the same thing as me, stacking gems, saving gems, waiting for this, thinking that they're going to have to do what they did with Walt and buy them for thousands and thousands of dollars. But if they don't, they're going to put those gems into the market, I think. Right. So we could see a little bit of, you know, an upward trend after that. We'll see. It would be nice.
Yeah. It's a really interesting time too, because what I'm doing is identifying who's the actual collectors now, because I'm like, whoever's left is like obviously a lot more bullish on this project or believes in it more, and then I'm like seeing who actually didn't believe in the project and like sold at the top and took off. I mean, not to say that that was the wrong thing to do, but I'm just like, who's really in it for the long run. And now we're really building a strong foundation of our community and seeing who the major players are. So that's going to be interesting long term too, because people will remember that. Like community, like even now, I don't know if you've noticed this, but people are like, hey, I really appreciate you still putting out content, or like, you know, showing up in Twitter spaces, etc. And some other people are like, oh, you know what, this project is not doing so well, let me move over to another ship, or like let me get into some other kind of cryptocurrency. So I think that's going to say a lot too long term, right? I don't know if you noticed the same thing, but
yeah, I've noticed people saying thank you because they were having not good times dealing with the paper losses, like just on paper being down so much.
Right.
I actually redid the math today. When Omi was down to 0.00163, I lost over $900,000, and I'm just chilling. I'm looking to buy more. So it's I mean, there's so many other projects, and that's the other thing. Other projects aren't stopping. Other projects are continuing their stuff, and I get asked every day, check this out, check this out. And of course, I'm not going into any of them, um, because most other projects, probably won't survive a bear market.
Yeah.
And Komi is thankfully separate from Omi. Like Veve is separate from Omi, in that, again, we're still making millions of dollars each week, or at least the gems that are being bought. And there's no like their balance sheet, I guess, outside of having Omi on the balance sheet, is really not affected. Like all of their line items should still be good. And I just want to buy more. I'm still bullish.
What do you think about that? I was pulling it up right now. The AMA that's coming up about some of the gamification stuff with Omi. How do you feel about that?
With Epico?
Yeah.
They had pushed that to next week, and I'm not sure why. They said scheduling conflicts, but they didn't say what scheduling conflicts. I don't know if it was on the Epico side. Okay, it probably doesn't mean anything. If it's on the Omi side or the Veve side, then that might mean that they have something that they want to announce, but they want to wait a week for, or they want to announce something before they do that at AMA, just because they probably want to clear it up.
Right.
Any questions?
Don't you think that's some good news though for the token? I mean, I feel like that's one of the things that people have been pushing so much, and it's like, okay, here's going to be, what you've been asking for, waiting for. So I think that's a good sign.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I think now too, they're kind of come to a point in time where it's like the climax, so to speak, like in a plot of a movie, where it's like, is Veve gonna pull its socks together and like, get all these things landed, or at least a few of them, or is it gonna like just continue to delay things? And I feel like now people are like eager, it's like a little bit of desperatism now, being like, okay, like one of these things got to drop. And one of my good friends keeps saying to me like, dude, I'm really excited for the MCP, but he's like, they keep dropping all this valuable IP. Like there's a lot of major FAs that have already come out. And so he keeps telling me like, if the MCP comes out too late, like what are they going to be dropping, right? And I told him, I'm like, well, first of all, the IP is so massive and there's still so many things to come that, trust me, there'll be things that are really valuable on the way. But I did think that was interesting, because there's a lot of people, especially on my comments, that are like, hey, I was really bullish about this, but now I'm selling off because MCP's been so delayed and I'm not sure what's going to happen from here on out. You know what I mean? So how do you feel about that? Like, are you kind of like, oh, like MCP should have been out by now, or is it it's okay, like we're still getting drops in the interim and who cares kind of thing?
You want to go first on it?
Yeah, I kind of like put that in the same place as the drop system too. Like everybody wanted one so bad because of the bot issue.
Yeah.
And it's like, now that that's sort of resolved, it's like, never mind, we're good. Like we don't need it. And I just it doesn't affect me in my planning. To be honest, I haven't even studied that much, because I am collecting what I want, and I'm also collecting what I believe is a good investment. So, the program associated with it doesn't affect my buying strategy at all, or my holding strategy or anything. So for me, it doesn't affect me personally. And I just think that's like, yes, that's something we want and need, but I just feel like there's other priorities that I would rather see first, Omi to NFT, other stuff like that. I would rather see first.
Right. I definitely like that they said they're working on Omi to NFT first as well. But if like, are they getting out just because there's no MC, like they're not getting rewarded? Like I think getting in early should be its own reward. But again, I'm a long-term thinker. People that you could tell if this is people's first bear market, if this is the first time they got like punched in the face, like financially, and the people that are getting out and kind of selling just because they're not getting additional benefits to their purchase as quickly as they would like, I think that's very silly. I think that's very, very short-sighted. And they will probably be sorry. And again, why part of the reason why I was so attracted to this in the first place, because the IP, like one out of every 100,000 companies is going to be like a Bored Ape, or is going to be a Moonbirds. But this is, I don't want to say it's guaranteed, nothing is, but I would bet on Marvel and Disney over anything else. Like worst case scenario, and let's say a Comey really made some bad decisions and they didn't have anything, like Disney will find a way for these collectibles to, they're going to keep getting that percentage. They're going to keep getting that money. They would find a way for the collectibles to stay around. So if you don't believe in like the team, if you think that they're moving too slow, okay, well, Disney and Marvel, it's not like DC where DC's putting their product out everywhere. They really lose their IP. Marvel and Disney aren't moving. There's no other projects that they're into right now that is going to have their stuff. Maybe Genie, but because Bob Iger kind of went there, but that is not. Those aren't made specifically. It seems like those avatars, you'll have like a Mickey or whatever. The people are going to make them. It's not going to be by Disney. So I think
that's super interesting. Like the one thing that really stood out to me there too, Randy, was pretty much that if Disney saw these NFTs, their first ever ones go for like, let's just say hypothetically, like under retail, which would never happen, but let's just say like even another 80% reduction from here, they know that that's not the image that they would want to represent in the public. They would want these things to be invaluable long term. So like, I think you're right. Like despite the trajectory that Veve's on, even though I think it's still a great one, I could see them still being like, listen, we can't let this kind of go down because of how sensitive it is. And I keep talking to both of you on this too. It's like to give Walt and Mickey on one of your IPs and to like then do like Elsa right after and do all these crazy ones. It's just like, okay, like we kind of won already. And I don't know if you've been seeing, but like Instagram now is like talking about profile pictures. And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, it still seems like this whole interoperability thing, but I'm just like, holy shit. Like imagine being like, yeah, like worldwide recognition, like Instagram, it's like give us an example. Like Ronaldo, we talked about this, I think on your stream, but Ronaldo has like 400 million followers over 400 million on Instagram. Right. Could you imagine? What's that?
Who had 400 million followers?
He does. Neymar has 173 million and Ronaldo has the most followers in the world. I think it's over. I think that could be right. Maybe. I don't know. Let me check. I'll double check.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like, did you see the whole development with Instagram?
I saw that. And so it's so strange. Like people are looking to FUD anything that said like, okay, well, we can't move our stuff off app. So this isn't going to affect us. It's going to have people FUD us. And they're right. It's going to have people FUD us. But I mean, think about when, oh my God.
440 so million. People. Yeah.
But think about when, let's say when you get like an emulator, for Game Boy Advance or N64, and like, okay, they have the emulator, but you can't play games. Okay, well it's coming. If you have interoperability, and just the fact that Twitter lets you connect your MetaMask and you're able to go and put NFTs on there, and Instagram's doing that big companies are doing it. Every other company will follow. Like they know the future. Microsoft didn't spend $69 billion to get Activision Blizzard and all that to build their metaverse. Like they didn't. That's real money. Like it's not like Sony that spent like $2 billion, which is still a lot, buying Bungie, but they're spending like tens of billions of dollars to build their metaverse, and to have a company like Instagram. So it'll probably happen with Facebook as well. Both on my Meta. So
right.
Very bullish on it.
Yeah. Yeah, what do you think about that VeVeMagic? Or is I know you already have Walt as your profile picture, but any other thoughts on that?
No, I think it's cool, and I disagree that that I think Disney will follow suit or do something unique to themselves. I think those are the kind of discussions they're probably having every day. Kind of going back on what Randy said a little bit earlier about the IP and stuff that they've given us is that's like one of the things I always go back to when people get scared and start FUDing and everything, is like I feel like I'm living in this like imaginary world where I can see what's happening, or I can like see the truth, but like nobody else can, and I'm like trying to yell from the rooftops, and it's just like companies and brands that are this big all in one place. Like, when does that happen? And like, when does that ever happen? And you can own things from these companies, like it's just, I feel like it's so unique. And they're also very, very intelligent companies that have been around for decades. and it's like, I just can't find a way to FUD it. And, you know, say Veve does stumble and hit roadblocks and they need a little help. You don't think those companies are going to figure out a way? Like, this is their money too. Like, you know, they all want each other to succeed. Even though some of the companies are competitors, they all want this project to succeed. So that's just what I always keep going back to with all the, you know, uncertainty in the market and NFTs in general and all that. But like, I just, I had an article sent to me last night about, oh shoot, I'm blanking. Let me pull it up real quick. It was a really good article. It was just about like the future of where we're going with NFTs. And, you know, it's going to be medical records and we've talked about this in spaces and elsewhere. And it's just, this isn't just like characters and art drawings. Like, this is revolutionary technology and we're in the forefront of it. As almost, for lack of a better way to describe it, almost like the experimental phase. Like, let's start with this stuff. And then now they're seeing just the enormity of what this is and what it could mean for the future of everything. I mean, you know, car registration, your mortgage, like the list goes on. And to be able to be in it so early, it's like my minute part of what it's going to be is nuts, you know?
Right. I love how you brought that up, because I think that's the biggest misunderstanding right now. Is like, people see NFTs as like a pump and dump scheme. That seems to be like, when you hear NFT, they think Bored Apes or they think CryptoPunks. And I'm not saying they're pump and dumps, but a lot of other projects have kind of, you know, been attempting to get to their status. And you know, perfect example of this is like the DC Backhouse project is more a project based on experience and utility, right? And if a byproduct would be if they go up or down financially. And it's like, that's the type of future that, in my opinion, that's what NFTs are going to be about, is like about collecting and about, you know, experience. And like you said, then it'll get into healthcare, then it'll get into confidentiality, and it'd just be then the currency, so to speak, that would operate in these metaverses. And so that's really interesting. But I want to throw this at you both, because I've been thinking about this a lot, and it's a curveball, but I'm interested to hear your take. So it was actually my wife that brought this up, and she's like, you're not very smart for thinking that like all these characters that are like, you know, that have been established already, for instance, like Hulk, Wolverine, Spider-Man, Superman, all et cetera, are going to be worth a lot because they've already been established. They've been established in the real world, and now they're almost like copycats in a sense but they're in blockchain. And then she's like, you know, the things that would probably matter most are the new IPs and the new things coming out. So for instance, like a Bored Ape, right, is like a new thing that's come out, and now people are like, you know, composing it and making it born here, and then future things will maybe mimic what that's doing. And so, like, you know, I always think about Spider-Man, like it's so important because somebody literally created it and put it in this you know, comic, and then from there hundreds of different things have come out about Spider-Man. Blockchain happens to be just one of those hundreds of things. But then you start thinking, well, no, because blockchain is going to be the whole thing that rewrites history in a sense, and we're going to be moving forward digitally. So the oldest time points would be blockchain and the future of our world. So what is I'm really having a hard time with this one, but what do you think about that? Like, could we be over emphasizing the importance of first to the blockchain and NFTs the first time, you know, of these major characters?
You want to go first on this?
It's a big question.
I think what would be cool is I can see both sides of that argument. Yeah. I still think because it's the first, like, you know, we're part of some of the first NFTs in existence, you know, some of, meaning like this is still, you know, as many projects as coming out, it's still a relatively new, you know, era that we're entering. And so these are still pretty young NFTs, and there's going to be millions of them. So I look at it as like, we're still have some of the, you know, first. And so I see value there. And there's going to be, you know, edition sizes are going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So like the rarity is going to create value as well. And having some of these pieces that there's not a lot of, because people from all over the world are going to start learning more and more about it and you're going to have to be able to provide it to everybody. Right. Mm-hmm. And, but I had it, as you were saying this, I had kind of a cool idea that Disney could create like a new character, but the first time they ever introduce the character is via NFT. and say they, give you this character or a line of characters. And then from the NFT, they introduce them into, and they do their marketing of like, buy this NFT and then find out what's to come from these characters. And then they do shows or movies, or, they're involved in the metaverse, and, like it could just kind of snowball into a lot of different things. You could put utility in there. Maybe you're able to interact with these characters in unique new ways. But that's where, like, they could do something new with new IP that they haven't created yet. And that would be, kind of what you're saying.
That's epic. Yeah. Randy,
That would be fun. Just to retort on her thoughts a little bit, to create a new character I think they did that before with like a Mexican princess or Mexican, and it was just, and she looked like from Spain. She looked very white, very light, and everyone's like, "What is this?" And then they actually made I think a Mexican princess, and it was like with brown skin, and people like that better. So people really feel new characters are hard, but I think that it's so much better that we have established characters, because there's a proven history of 50, 60, 80 years of some of these guys. And just because something is hot and new now doesn't mean that it will be forever. I think things like new verticals, like this is just a new vertical. Like people were excited for, let's say, like Wolverine and Spider-Man movies, because they never had that before. X-Men, like they were TV shows and they were on the small screen. And maybe there are some people that is like, the old stuff is better because they like old campy stuff. But I think it's just it's like having a new character, like a reboot. It's a reboot of your favorite stuff. And there are some kids that like maybe don't know the first several generations of Pokemon. They might just know the new stuff. And as long as there's new product keep being made, I think that's fine. I think the issue with things like Bored Apes and Moonbirds and stuff is that it's great now, but it's very hard to go and create new product, because they only went and minted like 10,000 of these. So if you have something that you can make an abundance of, like you have Logan, you have Old Man Logan, you have Berserker Logan, you have like in his red tights Logan, there's Bone Claws, there's so many different variations that you could make. And a lot of new projects are going to have a hard time doing that, because a lot of them are limited to that 10,000 mint thing, and they're unique, sure, but there's not too much that they can grow from that. And like you said, you have Disney, you have people that want everything Disney, you have Pokemon, the people that want everything Pokemon. They don't care if it's new or not. So that's kind of my thoughts on it.
Plus, it is a collector's app, right? So collectors generally want collectible items, and to have some of the most historic pieces on the app, especially when it relates to like Disney having Steamboat Willie, that's that character continues to live on throughout time. He's in the forefront of your Disney movies. And so that's, for a collector, especially a Disney collector, is a very serious piece, because it's so old. And that's where you kind of have to remember, this is like a collecting app. And for the people that are interested in historical perspective and the importance behind those kind of items, they're gonna hold their value, in my opinion. And it gives you a new way, a new vertical, a way of collecting something in a way you've never done it before.
Right. That distinction is so important. I have a lot of people on comments say, "Oh, Veve isn't that special. All they've done was like pretty much do what Walmart and every other big brand did, except just in the digital realm." And I'm like, the distinction is that this is a collecting app. Like this isn't, your mass produced items that are cheap and whatever, that are like, the 107 times that they've been released in this new format intended for kids. Like this is like the first time some of this stuff has been here in a finite amount. And so it's like, that's a really important distinction, because I always hear that. It's like, well, you're just like what is, somebody just says like, what are you really thinking that these are going to be worth long term? He's like, they're just going to have more and more toys, more and more things come out, and eventually it's just going to be just as saturated. But I think just like in collecting, you have to identify which stuff is going to be the best. Like you can just blindly collect everything that you see without, if your main purpose is ROI, right? So I think I don't know, like I think that's just an important distinction you make. And I know another thing you keep talking to me about is Doctor Strange, and I didn't see the movie yet.
Did you
I
see it,
want
Randy?
to.
Did you see it, Randy?
Yeah, I had a whole live stream yesterday for like 3 hours, just talking about spoilers and things
You
that
were talking about spoilers?
I put it in the title. I was like, these are the next things that we're gonna get on Veve. Spoilers for Doctor Strange too. Like that AMA, like that was the whole title.
That's hilarious.
Because they, Alex said that, hey, you're gonna come out of this movie seeing what Marvel has given us, and what's in the movie, and if you know comic books and you see that movie, you know exactly what's coming. You know exactly what's going to happen. And there is, to retort on Pirate's last response, is that if we'll partner with Walmart. We have promo codes now. We'll partner with them. We'll partner with like Target. We'll partner with and the beautiful thing is that for the NFTs we started here, there's no manufacturing that we have to do. There's no shipping that we have to do. There's no logistics. The amount of money that they save and the amount of people that they don't have to hire to handle all that, no insurance. Like this is, this is the craziest innovative company I've ever seen.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of people that have complained about mint size, not realizing that there's still such a small amount of people that are on this app in terms of the whole world and where this is going to grow to. And I look at mint sizes on stuff and I'm just like, this is nothing. Like the mint sizes are so small, especially when you think of certain characters. You think there's only like 4,000 people that, want some of these NFTs. No, like multiply that by like thousands, and it's just going back to Doctor Strange. I had gotten uncommon and rare on the drop, and I knew I needed to get that secret rare, and I couldn't even remember if it was secret rare or ultra rare. And then I kept going in, checking on the prices and stuff. And I was trying to be patient because I know that, it's just, if people slaving up gems, it's going to keep trending downwards for a little bit. But I came out of that movie and was just like, and my recent trip to the park, I mean, they now have this kind of stuff with the Eye of Agamotto. Like there's a sipper in it. I believe it lights up. I didn't get it. I'll get on my next trip, but they're pumping that stuff hard. And I think there's something to be said for that set. And so I was looking at the market and I saw that a friend of mine had a sub 1K mint for like $10 above floor. And I messaged him and I was like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I bought like 10 of them. And they're like, I'm still making money on them. I'm making, I bought them like 180 and I'm trying to, sell them at like 220, 230. And I was like, I'm just kind of waiting for the price to go down a little bit more. But I saw your mint was tempted. And he's like, okay, well, lower the price to 200 if you want it. I'm like, okay. So I bought it and completed the set. But, that's one of those things that like, I don't want to sleep on a set like that. The set is relatively cheap, but other stuff's dirt cheap. And, the other part that I wanted to kind of relate it to the parks is, I like to see what characters they're bringing out. Like now we have Scarlet Witch that's appearing in the parks. America Chavez has entered the parks. So cool. And of course that is partly promotional, but then the other thing that I hadn't really pieced together is there's certain different things. There's a ride here, there's the Quinjet there, infrastructure. And a piece of infrastructure they have is a whole setup for a Doctor Strange show. And it's performed daily, but it's like the doors open, it shows this, thing. It's a whole show revolving around him that they built infrastructure for. So I'm like, okay, the light bulb clicked. That character's not going anywhere anytime soon. So okay, it's like we have a Spider-Man ride. It's not like you have a, I don't know, pick another character that's not always in all the movies or something, or not that popular. It's not like they just threw that character. Like, so I feel like Doctor Strange, they're like have a roadmap for, and obviously if you watch the movie, you'll see that it's definitely got a roadmap. So yeah, I just, I'm putting more of those pieces together, and I like the speculation of where this Eye of Agamotto collectible could go. So I'm on board.
Same. I got the set. And the Eye of Agamotto wasn't always his. There's he gets his power from the Book of Vishanti, or a lot of it. He's contracted with the Vishanti, and I forget their names. There's three of them there, and one of them is a guy named Agamotto, and he was the first Sorcerer Supreme. So that's his that was passed on. They Disney would definitely want to keep an A-list actor like Benedict Cumberbatch coming back for years, because they kind of they did away with a lot of the main characters. Although for Captain America, I think he comes back as Old Man Cap. I think he comes back in the next couple movies. Yeah,
that'd be cool. Oh, nice.
epic.
You know what's so much fun is just walking into these comic book stores and just buying old comics from like the 90s, 80s, 70s for like $5. And it doesn't have any
find a
major
store near me.
Yeah, like it's honestly like it's just bringing out the best of me. Like I'm just like obsessed with like catching up on the lore and the fandom and everything. But I'm not gonna lie, like this Doctor Strange character, I don't know a ton about. Like so I'm trying to catch up, and I'm obviously like I like it. I remember Sean from Comics and Crypto was saying that book, if it was like a 9.6 or 9.8, could potentially sell for like $500,000.
Yeah.
And he was saying like it's ranked pretty high in the list. Like I think it's in top 5 to top 10 for them.
On his list, I believe so. Yeah, I want to say it may have been 4. I was looking at it the other night.
So that would even beat like Fantastic Five,
right?
Fantastic Four.
Yeah,
number 5?
I think he has it above number 5. I'm not entirely. Don't quote me on that.
That's so strange. You figured that first appearance.
I took a screenshot.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, it's number 4. Strange Tales 110, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's number 4. No, I'm sorry. Wait. I didn't take it's above Fantastic Four number 5, and above Journey into Mystery, and above Daredevil.
Wow, like it's crazy, right? Like I knew it was important, but I was like, I bought it for 700, by the way. I sniped it at 700.
The secret rare?
The secret rare, yeah.
Nice. That's it. That's a good snipe.
It was, well, they were going for that price. But the hardest part is like I was for 10-15 minutes, like you're just getting nothing. You're just getting jammed. Yeah. And the thing I love now is when you snipe, you don't have to buy it right away. Before you have to like get it and then have to buy it really quick. Now, once you get it, it gives you like 180 seconds. That's true. Which is because
people will make a lot of mistakes too without that. Like
they
think they selected something and they actually didn't, and they end up having a really high mint number, that they thought like they misclicked, but they're so in a rush to hit that buy now that they're like, oh my God, I just bought like the crappiest mint for $500 or whatever. And so now like you can reserve it, and then you can sit there and be like, okay, yep, this is the one I want before you click. So I hadn't actually thought about that until you put it in that way, but yeah, there's pluses and minuses of it, but that's a huge plus for sure.
Yeah, and it's so easy, right? Like you're like, okay, I'm looking at like what Comics and Crypto have put in the past, and I'm like, all right, this is number 4. I'm like, I know Fantastic Four is 10 grand, Amazing Spider-Man number 1 is X. I'm like, Marvel 1 is out of reach, and then I'm like, okay, and Fantastic Four number 5 is 5K. So I'm like, at a $700 investment, like I'm pretty sure this is gonna work out. Like some of this stuff is not rocket science, right? Like people that are in it to win it, like it's not that hard of a game to play. The hardest thing is, do you have patience? Because a lot of people will be like, oh, I bought it for 7. Oh, now it's 950. Let me sell that. You know what I'm trying to say? That's where flippers get screwed, right? Because like if you don't time it right, you can really get hurt.
Yeah.
So are you planning on seeing that movie?
Oh my God, I would love to. I'm trying to like get my wife to come, because she's like, she's not a huge Marvel superhero person. So I'm working on it.
What's funny is like part of the reason that I ended up seeing it like last minute on Sunday. But part of the reason was I can't go into any of these spaces because all these guys and girls are going to be doing spoilers, and I'm going to have to stay out of spaces until I see this movie. So I'm like, I have to see it so that I can like listen and not get spoiled. But, I will say I came out of that movie just like, man, like the roadmap that they have is way further down than we even realize. It's like, the amount of energy they're putting into this, and like I thought maybe they don't fully like, maybe people have like, maybe they're just tiptoeing into it and they don't know like where they want these NFTs to go. But like you come out of this movie and you're like, yeah, joke's on whoever thought that. Like it is so freaking strategic. It is like brilliant marketing. Like I've actually been looking at the prices because there's some NFTs we have that I'm like, okay, I'm surprised this isn't pumping a little bit right now, especially given that I think it's going to be around for a while. So yeah, that's stuff I've been really hyped on since seeing that movie. So you'll love it. You have to go see it. Even you just go by yourself if she doesn't want to go.
That's true. You know what? I actually would like to do that. I would do that. I think
I think
you know
that's
what?
fun.
I'm going tonight. After I'm gonna hang up early, and that's it. You know what else looks amazing? Avatar 2, The Way of Water.
They did the trailer in the movie for it.
Oh damn.
Yeah, they did the trailer and it looks everyone. Yeah, that was the other thing is like going in spaces. Everyone's like, no, are we gonna get Avatar? And I'm like, oh, come on, guys, like take it easy. But yeah, it looks good.
Yeah. That's a funny thing now, right? We're so spoiled with like what VV drops because it's like we could get Avatar. It wouldn't be a big deal. Like, of course we're going.
It's like we expected at this point. We're so spoiled. We're like, so we want it now.
Yeah, and VV's like, all right, we'll work on it, you know, but it's ridiculous. But you know, it's like it's fun because it's just in the starting point, and it's just, like there's still so much to be built on top of it, right? And it's like I know for poor VV, they just don't know where to start. There's like 15 to 20 things, and you know, same thing with like Omi. It's like it's difficult when you're associated with crypto because, in my opinion, like in terms of like the investment perspective, it would almost be like a roadblock for a lot of just like your normal typical people that would probably want to get into the, you know, into it, right? And I just want to switch gears a little bit because I know Randy's, you know, more of an expert on the Omi side, and everybody knows that I'm not. So whenever this conversation comes up, I always try to stay clear or you know, come in with the right thing. But you know, what are we looking at now, Randy, in terms of like Omi and you know, and I guess like the trajectory, because it's like we've been in here for a year, you know, we've had a lot of people talk about it hitting 16 cents, and then it went down to, you know,
a lot less than that. Yeah. I mean, short term, you know, if the consumer price index on Wednesday comes out and it is not good, and you know, Bitcoin just touched like under 30K like a few minutes ago. So if that continues to go to like 20K, like a lot of people are thinking, you know, but there's a chance that we get like cut in half and we go down to 3 zeros for Omi. So short term, we can go down to 0.0009 or below.
Wow.
And if you get that, oh my God, I feel like this is like back in the day, like the old, you know, like when UFC was just starting out and not everybody was in the space, you know, not everybody knew everything. So, you know, when you know this like Russian like murderers coming in, it's like, oh my God, bet the house. Like if like these prices are not going to stay down here forever. Like the only crypto associated with Disney having having like $500 million market cap is stupid. That is stupid low. Yeah. And it could get lower. It could go down to, you know, like $275 million market cap, which again is nothing compared to what we have here. So you have a lot of big catalysts coming. You have the Omi utility coming. You have unsure if we'll be listed as a metaverse token this year or next year, because the VeVeVerse will be launched this year, but we won't get a land sale until next year. So I don't know what their measuring stick is for like metaverse token, how you list it as such, but you know, like James Franco said in his in that Planet of the Apes movie, when his, you know, my father's disease came back with a vengeance. Like this coin will go down if Bitcoin decides to do what it's going to do. But my God, that's going to be one hell of a bounce. Like that is going to come back with a vengeance. I'll sell Dashi. I'll sell if that goes down like 0.000 like 7. That's $700 for a million Omi. Like there were times where I was paying $7,000 for a million Omi. So this is very this is a very good opportunity. A lot of people saying like, oh, it must have been nice to buy when the price is low. Okay, well the price is low now. Like we are near like, you know, 52-week lows. You know, now's your chance.
Right. Yeah, I got in at point, I think 0027, which was like amazing back then because it did a 6x like within 3 weeks of me buying, and I was like, oh my God, right? And now I'm like seeing it, you know, go back down, but I'm buying back in some more stuff now too. But have you had to put up with any friends or people that you've suggested it to? Like I told a lot of my friends to buy in when it was like just under a cent. And they were like, and then the next day they're like, thanks for letting me know. And then it just never went back to that. And I've been literally like having to like deal with these people. Like our friendships aren't the same, you know. So I don't know if you guys have similar
Oh,
similar
so
stuff.
I got kind of lucky. I get so the it's weird. Like the people with the friends that I knew like with money, they're like, yeah, no problem. And I was like, and you know, they message me every now and then, like, hey, is everything okay? I was like, it's no problem. And because you know, they don't keep like their finger to the pulse the same way that we do, and they don't know what's going on. Like they don't know that we're partnered with so many people. And but now a lot of them with money are just like very, you know, okay, yeah, you know, you know, bear market, you know, should I buy more? I was like, yeah. My other friends, a lot of them didn't listen to me. Like I don't know how many times I have to be right with like Pokemon cards or Tesla or high risk lending and time by 30 before like before they listen to me.
Yeah.
But you know, fair point. If they would have gotten in last year or at any point and they'd lose like 80% of their their you know on paper, that's a lot. But I will never catch up to messages. Even just it's hard to keep up with people that I've already messaged with, but like Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram message requests, I will never catch up. That is, it's
Yeah.
just there's so many people to try to like, hey, about that, should I sell here? And like, I can't really give financial advice, and it's like, you know, yeah,
Follow the
Yeah.
stream, follow the live streams.
yeah. That's what the
You
AMAs
know?
are for. That's what the streams are every
Right.
night. Is a chance to ask ask a question.
Yeah.
Yeah. And VeVeMagic, you're now like the new like Disney expert. I mean, you were back then, but now I feel like you've kind of like claimed that space. I bet you're getting like a ton of messages, right? Being like golden moments, what should I do? And what's that been like for you?
Yeah, it's interesting because the thing that's been really fun and cool for me is people, I feel like that first video we did sort of like was a turning point with regards to mint numbers, at least in Disney perspective. And it's like so many messages I get are revolved around the mint numbers and like, you know, this I purchased this mint because it's this year, and they went and like did all this research and like, do you think this was a good buy? And I'm like, oh dang, they like really researched that. Good for you. And like, so that's been really exciting to see. And yeah, it's hard because like, yeah, I don't want to like give financial advice, but you know, if somebody was asking me, would you buy this? Yeah, I would like if I could. And just like a lot of them, I feel like a lot of them messages is like just kind of wanting that extra boost of confidence, you know, like they
Yeah.
want to do it, but they just want a little bit of reassurance. Like, do you think this is right? And I'm like, yeah, you're buying that at like a fraction of what I paid. So good for you, because I own it. I didn't sell it. I'm still happy to own it, but it's worth peanuts compared to what I paid for it. But I'm okay with that because, you know, some of these things like, you know, Woody or Lightning McQueen or some of the Goldens, like the Goldens are crazy low. And man, I bought some of that stuff so high, but I remember seeing those prices and being like totally comfortable with that price.
Right.
Because I still think in the long term, those were low prices that I bought in at. And the fact that they're like what they are now is just completely blows my mind. It's like, you know, Randy and I are sort of like the same, where he sees the ohm and he's like, I want more, I want more. And I just get like stuck on the NFT side that it's like, I have to stop looking at it because every time I look, I just want more of it because of the prices. Like I have that much confidence that it's okay. Keep going down. I'll keep buying more. But yeah, I'm trying to sort of shift my focus a little bit. You know, I have a healthy few stacks of things, and I'd like to shift my focus more over to the OMI side. I definitely want to get some more with this opportunity. You know, my first buy was at, I think it may have been a penny, and then I bought in at 0.008 and I DCA'd all the way down to like 0.0023. But I would definitely like to get in at this level. And I mean, just, you know, the potential to have a million OMI for $700 is like crazy to me. That's crazy. Like that's
I'm
exciting.
almost hoping for it.
And yeah.
No, I'm not. Actually, I shouldn't say that. A
No.
lot of people are like, screw you, Jeff. Yeah.
Hoping because you know the potential. Like I just,
You know it's
have,
gonna go up. Yeah.
I have faith in the token, like I have faith in the NFTs. So
Right.
Do you think it might be hard for you to let go of the NFTs? Because when I was selling my stuff for that big giant Pokemon card I was getting 2020, 2021, I was like getting emotional looking at the artwork and packaging them up, knowing like I'm never gonna get this again. At least those specific cards. I mean, the NFTs, you can sell one out so you can get one back in the future. But do you think you might have a little bit of a hard time trying to sell some of those?
Yeah, I feel like there's certain ones that I will never want to get rid of for two reasons. One, the emotional attachment for sure, and two, the suspected utility on my part. I still think we're super young in the projects and the brands of their NFTs, and I think there's still a ton of potential. And if there was utility to come with some of this stuff in the future, it makes them more valuable to me on a different level. It's not just a financial level. It's, you know, if it allows me to do certain things that I can't do in any other way unless I own it, then why would I want to sell it? So, you know, that was my strategy behind wanting to have more than one of like certain beloved pieces, which, you know, I'm still working towards. And if I don't, I don't. But, you know, I have other pieces that I do have pieces that I'm willing to part with. It just depends on how much I love that character or, you know, brand.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting because for me, I've always liked to rotate my collection because like I do get tired of things after a certain amount of time. It depends on what it is. Some things are like here forever, but other things like even for watches, like I collect a lot of watches, so like I'm really into like Omega, and then recently I've just had like this kind of like tiredness. I was just tired of it, and I was like, let me go into Tudor now and like a few other ones, and so I feel like a lot of people are like that. Like, but there's the big heavy hitters similar to your trophy Genghis or Kangaskhan. It's like those ones you just don't sell. Like when I saw Walt and Mickey, I was like, it just hits me so differently because I'm like, this is more than just like an NFT to me. This is like everything that Disney represents, and I have it. Like I'm one of fewer than 4,000 people if we consider, like we talked on your stream, Randy, Dr. Profit owning like 350 of them. You know, we consider there's only 4,000 holders under that. I was like, this is just insane to think that like I ever had this opportunity. And the one thing growing up as a collector, physical collector, is I always was so jealous of older men and women, but for the most part, seeing older men go into comic book stores with like Grail comics. And I just knew as a kid I would never have that. I was like, I can just never get that. Like, there's just something I have to look at unless I'm a millionaire or
Now
whatever.
you do.
Exactly. And now I'm like at the verge of what they experienced when nobody
Mhm.
gave a shit about comics back in the day. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Exactly. Yeah,
so, yeah.
that's one question that I've actually gotten asked a lot as of lately is like if you could go back in time, would you sell Walt when he was at 50K?
Yeah.
And I say the answer is no, because the reason I didn't sell him is I know how valuable that piece is. I know how valuable it should be and will hopefully be one day, and in terms of, you know, financial means. And I wasn't willing to gamble that if I sold it, I could get it back. And I know some people were comfortable. There's some people that did really well with that because they were comfortable with, okay, if I did make the wrong decision and I don't get it back, no love lost. Like that sucks, but I have now 50K. I can go 45K, whatever, go spend on something else. And I just was not willing to gamble that. And yeah, like you can look at it as short-sighted because I could have sold it and I right now could have 4 Walts for that money that I, if I had held onto those gems. But I just feel like it's impossible to predict how low some of these items can go or how high they can go. Like it's just such a volatile market that I'm not willing to, on the piece like that, I'm not willing to play with that. Now, if I'd gotten a second, I might have done that. And I still, if I'm able to get a second, I still might consider that. Like if we have a run up, I might consider selling the second one because I still have the one and taking profit and either, you know, cashing some of it out or reinvesting into something else or holding it and waiting for a dip and then really reinvesting in something else. But yeah, owning one is something I truly love. I'm not willing to play with.
Right. Right. Smart. And do you guys think we'll ever see these insane prices where like Walt goes to 250 or Walt goes to 450? Because like similar to like your trophy Kangaskhan, like once it hits a certain price for the majority of people, unless you're worth literally tens of millions of dollars, it's like, oh no, like there's a lot you can do with 250K. I mean, you know, you can change your life with you can, and like what you did, Randy. I mean, you took that significant amount of money and you put it into Tesla and to Omi,
Yeah.
and now you've like almost quadrupled from there, you know, even if we get back to a penny, right? So it's like, so that's the other thing that I think about too. It's like, other than like a one of one item that you'd see like on OpenSea, that's like some kind of famous artist or whatever, like is this you know, is this a game that could ever go past 250K for like the top tier item, or do you think there's some kind of cap there?
I mean, it depends on how many. I guess it depends on utility. I mean, in general, we've already seen it sell for 50,000 gems, and you have there'll be plateaus. There'll be people that are looking to sell at that price. What's life changing to? I think this time, people that are buying down here right now, if it does a 5x, okay, let me flip that back into. I think there'll be a lot of flipping, because I think when you have OMI to NFT, you're gonna have people saying like, okay, NFTs are up, I'm gonna sell for OMI. Okay, well now NFTs are in a dip and OMI's going up. I'm gonna take this OMI. I'm gonna buy a bunch of these NFTs. So I think you're gonna see a lot of back and forth, or at least you should. A lot of smart people will. I don't know if there's necessarily a cap, because if those go into collectors, again, people that have just millions of dollars and they don't need to sell, then
Yeah.
definitely 100 to 250 might be a lot, but there's a lot more people wanting to get into Club 33, and they're willing to pay tens of thousands of dollars to do so. So take a fraction of those people. If they can't get in there, at least they can get a piece of Disney history.
Very cool. Yeah. And another thing I wanted to pick your guys' brain about too is serial number. So in the hype, right, we saw like Walt, for instance, people were so particular about the number that they got, literally paying extra money, up to sometimes $1,000 to $2,000 for like a few hundred serial difference. So for instance, like a 900 to a 600, or 600 to a 300, or 300 to a 100. And like a 1 to 200 was probably like almost a 2x premium, and then a sub 100 I saw almost a 4 to 5x the floor. And now with less people interested in the piece, you're seeing low serial numbers almost like sell for the same price as the floor, right? So I have this theory that when there's like a lot of people interested in the same NFT, when there's like a high density, that those serial numbers means like so much more, because there's just more interest and people are competing for, I guess, the supply. So is that holding true in any sense? Because now I'm finding, because there's fewer people in the project and there's a lot of NFTs, I'm seeing serial numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, sub 100s, 121, like just almost at the floor, or like a few $100 more. And I'm like, man, this has never been a thing. And maybe it's just to do with the volume, but I'm not like, I can't say for sure. So I wanted to see if you had any thoughts about that.
I can't figure out the reasoning for those that are selling, because again, that's the opposite person that I am. So it's hard for me to like be in their brain and understand their rationale, because why would you floor a premium mint? And there was somebody that just picked up their second Walt, and it was like just above floor, and it was like it was a low mint. And so and then there's people I know. There's one that's like 4 above from the floor right now, and it's a lowish mint. But I know that person. That person has flipped in and out of Walt multiple times quite well, and so I know he's doing that on purpose, and he's still going to make money even though he's sort of flooring it. But he's getting those gems quick for something else. So there are different strategies like that. That person is always sort of turning a profit. So mad respect to that one, but. I can't figure out like what there's like the sense of urgency or something that when people are wanting to sell at that price. And it's like, what's the sense of urgency? Is it because you're trying to get into something else? Is it because you're trying to cash out some gems? I would actually love to know, the response to that, because I find it interesting too. But I also do find with some of these pieces now, sometimes a year date or specific numbers are going to get you a better price than like a sub 500, depending on what the year date is or the numbers,
That 1977 Star Wars. Can't believe that guy turned down like $75,000. I mean, it's gems, but still, it's
I can't understand that at all. I can't understand it.
Yeah. And there's been lots of stuff like that. Like I know a lot of people that do the escrowing. And when Walt was at its peak, there was a lot of people who had like sick mints that were willing to get like, I'm talking like almost 10x the floor when it was about like 30K. right? Like there was people that could have taken that, put it in Omi and just like chilled, right? And just like went back to real life and just literally that would have been it for them. So it's crazy to see that like what people are willing to turn down, because I feel like people underestimate the power of like liquidity and actually having that money. Because we saw Star Wars as an example, $900 when it came out on the secondary went to 2.7K. If you would have bought up 20 of those, I mean, you would have been up like almost 3x your money. I'm not saying everybody can play that game and it's difficult to sell. That's the other thing people forget, that these floors are sometimes like lava, and there's a few people like that's the thing. I don't know how much you guys do this, but there's a lot of these people that are smart and they'll buy like 20 and then they'll like price them real high, and anybody that goes underneath them, they'll either buy it up and put it down lower. But it's amazing the games that are played, you know.
Yeah.
I
mean, I will say the benefit that I see in stuff like that is, you know, in the long term, that's only going to make the value go up higher. You know, the more things get bought up at certain prices, the more long-term value it's going to be, because I mean, there are people that bought their wall at $48,000 and they're not going to sell it, you know, and you're going to get to a point where, you know, everyone bought in at a certain price or whatever. And they, you know, they're not going to want to see their investment go lower than that. You know, the longer we're in this, the more I feel like you're going to get, you know, the diamond hands, especially for the special pieces.
No, that's a good point. That's so true. And I feel like that's happening more and more now. Like, I mean, the foundation is getting stronger. And like I said, the people that are believe in the project are stacking even more now. So their bigs are getting bigger. You know, Randy, how many million Omi are you at now, bro? Like, I feel like when I knew
131.7. I'll get up to 132 probably by, and hopefully by end of this week, but if not, next week. But also, if we go down to 0.0, if we go down to 3 zeros, like 0.0007 or whatever, everything that I buy, that will just be purely for flip. Like that'll sell at like 0.0025. You know, if I like, you know, 3 or 4x it, I'll just, you know, then I'll I don't know, like buy a bet or something. I don't know. But yeah.
Oh, well, good. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on. I think we've been chatting here. What I love about these streams is like it's been an hour and 20 minutes already, right? And it's just been super relaxed. And these are, like I said, the two big guns in the space. I was on Randy's. Well, we were both on Randy's, but I went first, and then VeVeMagic came on like probably like 5 minutes after I left. But if you haven't seen that stream, you know, go check it out, and then make sure to subscribe to the real Randy Chavez. And, you know, obviously you probably already have. And then he's everywhere. He's on Twitter as well. And then VeVeMagic's huge on Twitter. And I'm keep trying to tell her to do a YouTube channel. I'm like, come on, like start a YouTube channel. So let's hope that happens at some point too.
Yeah, I just have to mention that I had to jump onto that Randy's stream the other night because you like inspired me with that goblet of wine you had. I'm like, that looks like a good time.
It was a good time. It was great.
Yeah, I had fun too.
Yeah.
And this was great. It was nice to talk to both of you guys at the same time. Super enjoyable.
Yeah,
it was fun.
And we'll do it again.
Everyone.
You know, like more and more I find that like these conversations are so important, especially in this kind of market. So, you know, and maybe next time I'll try going live. I'm not as good as it is you, Randy, because like I don't know how you're able to navigate conversations, see the comments, also take away like the trolls as well, because a lot of trolls like come in and say the odd thing, and then it's like you might read, you know, like when you have an anchor that like just reads the teleprompter and they say the wrong thing. That's what I'm worried about, like these comments, me reading it being like, Chad, you balls. And I'm like, oh, and then what do you think about that? Right. So it's a scary.
Yeah, Randy's like the master multitasker for sure. I can't do that either.
Yeah.
Some you have to read those. Some are so funny. Like when I had like a month ago, I had like a big beard and I shaved, and I guess the light was hitting me in a way that, so I was like, Randy, are you taking female hormones? And I was like, no. Like they're just funny. You have to read those. They're hysterical.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, guys. It was a lot of fun, and sorry we didn't dive into Star Wars too much, just because you know, I wanted to get into that conversation a little bit more. But I think there's, you know, some other pressing issues too to discuss. So hopefully you all got a lot out of it, and yeah, we'll see you in the next one.
Everyone say bye-bye to Dashi. Bye-bye, Dashi.
Bye, Dashi. Take care, everybody.